to rise above monsters. We have to abandon our humanity. What we fight, we become. Fire with fire.
Attack on Titan is one of those shows you never really get tired of. No matter how many times you rewatch it, there's always something else to pick up on. Whether it's subtle foreshadowing, a small background detail, or just the sheer emotion it manages to pull out of you. There's always something else to fall in love with. And I've rewatched Attack on Titan every year since I finished the manga back in 2022, but this time I thought, hey, I have a YouTube channel now, so why not gush about it to all of you? Now, this isn't going to be some deep thematic dive or a full retrospective, but there is one thing I've come to appreciate more and more over the years. How Attack on Titan masterfully redefines what a monster is, what hatred really means, and how slowly and cleverly it turns us, the audience, into the very thing we thought we were against. Because in Attack on Titan, the concept of a titan isn't just a creature, it's a metaphor, a symbol for how people, including you and me, operate at our most primal, at our most instinctual. Season 1 of Attack on Titan was simple, just humans versus titans. Giant man-eating humanoid monsters terrorizing the last remnants of humanity. It was terrifying, but it was also morally comfortable. Black and white. We're the good guys, they're the monsters. Simple. And that's exactly why Season 1 Eren worked so well as a protagonist. His anger felt righteous. His home was destroyed, his mother was eaten in front of him, and everything he had ever known was taken away from him in an instant. And of course he wanted to kill all the titans, so did we. They were just beasts too. Kill them all and humanity's free. But that line of thinking didn't last long. After Eren's powers were revealed, then Annie, then Ymir, Reiner, Bertolt, and then Zeke. Suddenly the monsters weren't just monsters. They were people, real people trapped in a waking nightmare, transformed into titans against their will. And worse than that, there were humans in positions of power who knew that, and let it happen for generations. By Season 2, we, just like Eren, started to ask the question, who are the real monsters here? If humanity was all good, why does its leadership suppress knowledge? Why keep the truth about the world hidden? And why lie to the people they're supposed to protect? Season 3 made that point even clearer when the enemies weren't just outside the walls anymore. They were inside. The focus shifted to the corrupt government, to the truth behind the founding titan and the vow-renouncing war. It wasn't just titans that were dangerous, it was people. People who abused power, and the return to Shiganshina arc drove that point home. Grisha's books reveal that the world outside the walls hadn't ended. In fact, it was thriving. The people behind the walls weren't the last of humanity. In fact, they were part of a hated race of people, viewed by the rest of the world as devils. They were Eldians, because their ancestors once ruled the world through the power of the Titans, and to stop that empire, and the Great Titan War taking place at the time, the first king of the walls, King Fritz, took his people to Paradis Island, built 3 massive walls using countless colossal titans, and isolated them from the rest of the world, until the world decided that it was time to wipe them out. That moment, reading Grisha's books, was one of the most existentially horrifying things I'd ever experienced watching Attack on Titan. The Titans weren't the enemy anymore. The world was. Then came Season 4, and for the first time I didn't feel fear from the Titans. I felt dread. Dread caused by humans, the kind that comes from watching how the world treated Eldians. King Fritz didn't take all of his people with him. The ones left behind were kept in internment zones under Marley, walled off, branded with armbands, and treated like monsters. Not for what they did, but for what their ancestors did. Eldian children were put into warrior programs. Prisoners were turned into titans and thrown into Paradis. Those same titans we faced in Season 1 were just victims. Victims of a cycle of violence they had no control over. Victims turned into literal weapons of war.
All this energy, and the things I've been carving through like carrion, were people.
And suddenly, Season 4 makes us reflect on Season 1, because Marley saw the Eldians the same way we saw the Titans, as monsters. And while we now hated Marley for what they were doing, We were doing the same thing in Season 1 when we were cheering for the Titans to be killed. Just like Marley, we felt righteous anger. Just like Marley, we dehumanized the enemy. The same cycle, over and over again. So Season 4 makes us ask the question, who are the true monsters?
I have no trouble sleeping at night, because I'm not really killing humans. If you had restored Eldia, you'd be butchering us Marlians right now.
We went from the simple humans versus titans in Season 1 to the more complex humans versus humans by Season 4. But the brilliance of Attack on Titan is how that shift mirrors real life. Our tribal instincts, our fear of the other, our need to find an enemy and paint them as evil because that's the easiest way. But to really understand this, we need to unpack what a Titan really is thematically. Titans are just the inversion of humans. I'm no evolutionary biologist, but just hear me out for a second. Pure Titans, they don't think, they just act on instinct. Savage, primal instinct. That's what scientists call the lizard brain in the brainstem. It's the most ancient part of our mind, responsible for basic instincts like fear, aggression, and territoriality. Humans have this too, but we also have the neocortex, higher reasoning and self-awareness, the part of us that tells us that we're better than animals. But Titans flip that. Their humanity is gone. Their instinct takes over. They are walking representations of what happens when you lose your rational mind. When Eldians are turned into Titans, they're stripped of their humanity, literally dehumanized. But to the rest of the world, they were already Titans before they transformed. They were already devils, already monsters. And just like that, the metaphor locks in. Both Marley and the Jaegerists and Islanders view each other as irredeemable, as inhuman, as Titans. Neither side willing to see the person anymore, just the beast. And in doing so, they become the very thing they fear. Because that's how propaganda works. Tell people for long enough that someone else is a monster, and eventually they'll believe it. Just like we did in Season 1, just like the Marleyans and Jaegerists in Season 4.
There were never any devils on this island. Just people. People like us. We just mindlessly agreed that even though we'd never met these people, they all had to be devils.
Some of these people are awful, but some are good. Same where I'm from. Inside the walls, we're all just people. You were just kids who got brainwashed.
It's a comfortable way to live, a black and white world. It's easier. You don't have to wrestle with guilt or empathy. You don't have to accept that that Titan you're slaying might have been just like you. That's where the Titan curse and the source of all living matter come in. Two of the weirdest and most fascinating elements of the series for me. I think the Titan curse represents our cycle of war, hatred, and fear. It's a cycle that's passed down through generations. Just like how the 9 Titans are passed from person to person, this cycle of anger, hatred, and prejudice is inherited. It never ends. Our violence, our fear, our instincts to destroy what we don't understand.
I deluded myself into thinking we were the good guys. I wanted to believe the evil I'd done was justified as part of some great cause. But in the end, that's just not true. But still, senseless as our bloodstained history may be, we have a duty to pass it on, so the generations after us can do better. As long as this wanton killing continues, our world will only sink deeper into hell. We have to break the cycle.
And the source of all living matter is the primal reptilian part of us, the part of us that helped us survive for so long, the aggression, the fear, the animalistic parts of us that we pretend aren't there, but always are. It literally looks like a spinal cord too, and that's not a coincidence. It's the visual embodiment of that primitive part of our brain, the oldest part of our consciousness, the parts of us that make us Titans. Because the real curse isn't turning into a giant monster, it's what's already inside of us. This cycle is one that we feed with our fear, a cycle that we justify with our pain, a cycle that we pass on thinking we're protecting the next generation, but all we're doing is handing them the same broken world, wrapped in new flags. But that's what makes Attack on Titan so beautiful. As bleak as the show gets, it never tells us to give up, because we can't. We have to believe that no matter what's happened, no matter how much pain we've caused, that someday we'll come to understand each other, that one day the fighting will end. Because if we lose that belief, if we let go of that one fragile hope, then the Titan curse will truly trample this whole world to the ground. And this time, there might be no one left to rebuild it.